And we are live. What's going on, everybody? I'm Adam. This is Open Late. Tonight, we will be opening the Super7 Ultimates G.I. Joe Snake Eyes in this nondescript, generic, plain brown box. I'm really looking forward to this figure. I've been waiting for a long time to get this guy in hand, to get this guy out of the box, to take a look at Snake Eyes in Timber. But first, do I still have it? Yeah, I still have it. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember, but I got the sort of re-release, the Playmates re-release of the Ninja Turtles. I got all 4 of the Ninja Turtles. I got Michelangelo. I put the nunchucks in his belt like that before I went on vacation, and when I got back, they were both split. Both sets of nunchucks were split. So, what did I do? I sat in a corner and I cried and I cried and I cried. No, I didn't do that. Of course I didn't do that. I am far too upbeat, far too positive, far too forgiving of brands to do that. So I bought another Michelangelo. That's the obvious reaction to a toy that fails, right? Is to buy another one. So I'm going to open this guy first. And the reason that I'm going to open this guy first is because I really wanted to open a toy. So anybody that has tuned in before, you know that I'm very meticulous with my packaging. I am careful to take my time in terms of, when it's a carded figure, I use a nice knife to cut it off very cleanly so that I can keep the card. You will see with the Snake Eyes figure that I will be very careful, that I will be very meticulous. I don't even like to damage the bubble card, like the plastic bubble inside. And not because I have intentions of reselling, but because I have intentions of appreciating, for years and years to come, the effort, the attention to detail, the craftsmanship that goes into all of these. However, when I have the rare opportunity, like I do with this Michelangelo figure, to just tear into this thing as though I was 5 years old and I had no concept of keeping, a card back. And I will show you this as well. This is a Canadian card back. So these cards are, in all honesty, shit. This is the most boring card back you're ever going to see for a Ninja Turtle figure. There's no comic, there's no bio card, there's no nothing. So this is, I don't care about the card, I don't care about the bubble, I don't care about anything. I really just want the two nunchaku that are on the little weapon screw here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the Michelangelo, if I'm being perfectly honest. I may give it to my 11-month-old son. I may where is this made? Is this paint? Is this plastic and this paint acceptable for an 11-month-old to put in his mouth? Probably not. Okay, maybe I'll give it to my 3-year-old. But anyway, we'll see. Yeah, that Sam Rock. That's literally what happened to me. That is literally what happened to me. The nunchucks were in his. What is it about these nunchucks? Maybe I won't even cut these off. Maybe I will just leave them and just leave them forever. Because maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's not the plastic. Maybe it's just that once you get them out of the box. Anyway, I digress. I was just really excited to open this like I would as a child. So this is sort of the appetizer for the main course, which is Snake Eyes. So without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and just tear that right off. Surprisingly satisfying. I gotta say, that is surprisingly satisfying. There's also been a weird update with Playmates where they've put it's not a twist tie. It's like they just wrap plastic. It's like really thick fishing line that they've sort of wrapped up. But anyway. Oh, and they've done it on this one too. Okay. Well, that ruined the feeling like I was a small child because I would have had to ask a parent to figure out why it wasn't coming out. But anyway, that's Michelangelo out of the package. These are great. I mean, if you don't have these like retro carded re-release Playmates Ninja Turtles, they're fun, man. I forgot how small they were. I think I said the same thing when I unboxed them on a previous video. That I just forgot how small they were and how they just felt in hand. They're just really fun. They're just great. Anyway, moving right along. I don't even have any like figures to compare this guy to as far as scale, as far as anything like that, because I don't have any other G.I. Joe Super 7 Ultimates, and I don't intend to get any other Super 7 G.I. Joe Ultimates. I got this one strictly because it is Snake Eyes, and because I love Snake Eyes. I am absolutely. Oh, I didn't do the. I don't. I usually do the whole thing. I'm absolutely, a mark for any brand that wants to do any version of Snake Eyes. I'll take them all. I've got all of the classified versions. I got the Hasbro Retro 4-inch version, which was a remake of with the Pursuit of, I think the Pursuit of Cobra one. I got the Hasbro Pulse exclusive 3 3/4-inch O-ring re-release that came with a 2-pack. Came in a 2-pack with Storm Shadow. I love that one. I'm all in on the 3 3/4-inch O-ring re-releases because I can basically sell off the vintage ones that I have at the prices that they're sort of currently going for and not feel guilty about keeping the new versions. So um, I didn't go in on the Super 7 reaction ones. Really only because I feel like it's a step backwards from what GI Joe vintage figures are. To go to 5 points of articulation, to me seems like a disservice to the brand, but that's just my personal opinion. This one I'm really excited for. Sunbow era accurate deco. I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to it. If they give me more versions in Ultimates, I may buy them. I'm not a huge Super 7 Ultimates guy. I got the Ninja Turtles and then I got a couple Thundercats, but that's about it. I'm not going any deeper on the GI Joe line. Um, but this guy looks pretty great, and I couldn't not get him, seeing as how he came with Timber. We get, as I mentioned, the very nondescript Super 7 brown box. On the front, G.I. Joe Snake Eyes, 14 plus Super 7. On the back, all the legalese, which is boring, so I won't bore you with that. Then, of course, in typical Super 7 fashion, we get the bag on the box. The box is this really cool kind of camo tiger stripe print. It is 2 shades of green, very metallic, very, very nice. The Ninja Turtle stuff is cool. I think this packaging, I gotta be honest, I'm probably a bigger G.I. Joe fan than sort of any other IP from the 80s. So this packaging really kind of speaks to me. It's got some embossed stuff going on. That is embossed. I don't know if you can see that. It's not, it's not printed. That's embossed on the box. It says Ultimates on the top. A little sort of military inspired. This is embossed as well. This isn't printed. That's embossed. They've done a cool thing where they made it sort of weathered. So you can sort of see the edges get a little bit weathered, which is really, really clever. And it's sort of all over the box. There's these little bits of weathering that look fantastic. It looks fantastic. The packaging is great. GIW1 SNK01, maybe GI Joe Wave 1, Snake 01. I don't know. I mean, I guess it is what it is. That's what you get. And then there it says Snake Eyes Elite Commando. I wonder if we'll get Snake Eyes Elite Ninja at some point. Which I will probably feel obligated to buy. Anyway, then we slide this lovely packaging off, and we get as I said, the Sunbow accurate deco. So he's got that beautiful blue and kind of purple. Timber looks great in the package as well. We get what's often referred to as the snow job rifle. We've got the jetpack and a bunch of other things that we will get to once we get in the box. Again, on the back side, just a really, really cool package. We get sort of the equivalent of a file card that looks a little bit more like a computer screen type of deal than the file cards typically did. And then it's sort of, that's looks like a computer. Multiple screens, multiple buttons, multiple things going on. Like I said, really, really great packaging. Super 7 is always good for coming through with fun packaging, different packaging for the different IPs. And the GI Joe stuff, is no exception to that rule whatsoever. So very, very happy with that. Now, one interesting thing about this, it was a pain in the butt to get a photo of Snake Eyes in there. As you can see, Timber looks fine. You know, the bottom half of Snake Eyes looks fine. His head is super dark because what they've done, and this is atypical for Super 7, typically with the Ultimate stuff, the figure is in the front card, and then there's a secondary sort of I mean the plastic tray, sorry, not card, but the sort of bubble tray. The secondary one for any additional accessories or whatever is normally behind the figure. In this case, it's not. In this case, they've prioritized Timber. They put Timber sort of in the front and then Snake Eyes in the back. It was a pain in the butt to photograph it. But as I open my toys anyway, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to open this guy up and be able to see him just fine. So on that note, let's get him out of the box, and I am just going to trim some tape that makes it that much easier to get him out of the box. And once I get him out of the box and once I get him out of the package, I will check the comments there and see who's hanging out, see what's going on. But I do have to mention this. They did add, and I honestly couldn't see this. I didn't notice this and realize this until I took the figure out. They've included that really cool sort of nostalgic blast effect that we saw on the vintage cards. It's not quite the same, but it looks really, really cool. So that's kind of a nice effect. You know, and a nice touch to the packaging. Like I said, Super 7 packaging is absolutely fantastic. So. But here's what I was talking about. This is the front card. Timber, the rifle and the jetpack, the three things that I mentioned specifically. And then in the main card, we get Snake Eyes with a couple accessories as well as some hands. So there's the sort of full loadout in the bubble. As I always do, I'm going to go ahead and get all the accessories out, and then I will get Snake Eyes out. I'll talk about the accessories first, and then the figure, and then we'll sort of we'll hang out and chat. If you guys have any questions about the figure specifically, or about GI Joe stuff or whatever, feel free to ask in the comments. I will try my best to answer, and we'll go from there. So sit back, relax. This is going to be the ASMR section of the video. I won't talk as much because I don't like competing against the sound of the plastic. I will mention again that as I am pretty particular about keeping the plastic in good condition, this sometimes takes longer than expected. Nearly there. And if you are, if you're hanging out watching, just say hello in the chat, just so I know who I'm talking to. Just say hi. Just say hello. You don't have to ask a question or, you know, anything too elaborate. I just love knowing sort of who I'm hanging out with. All right, let me just quickly tighten up the shot here. Oof, oof. Love the sound of this setup. That's how you know that you're watching a very professional channel. Is the shaky cam, the creaks and the groans of the equipment. This is cable access at its finest. Shame that cable access doesn't really exist anymore, but anyway. All right, so I'm just trying. I'm gonna sort of get this stuff set up a little bit, somewhat, and then I'll sort of go over. Yeah, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's set it up as we go. Like I said, we'll talk about accessories first. Let's jump into the accessories. Timber looks absolutely fantastic. He looks so Sunbow accurate. He looks just like he did when we met him in the first miniseries. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm kind of underwhelmed by this, and I say that because is he at hand? Yes. Because this timber is so good. This timber for me was like the best G.I. Joe classified figure of 2021. Jeez, it's hard to believe that it's that long. For me, this was the best G.I. Joe classified, item that came out in 2021. The articulation's fantastic. The deco is fantastic. On and on and on. I can't say enough about that timber. This one looks the part, but it just feels it feels hollow. It feels light. It feels flimsy. The articulation appears to just be sort of forward and back. It doesn't have there's not ball joints. And if you can see, mine is kind of crooked. So I thought I could like bend his leg out because of articulation, but I can't. So I'm gonna have to heat him up and kind of just get him to sort of fit better. Also, I don't know if you could see that, but if you look at where the okay, so this one is just, well, they're on ball joint. These ones are on ball joint. Are these on ball joints? I don't think so. Like the rear legs are not on ball joints. The front ones are, but they're offset. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see the ball joints, but the ball joint for this one is here, and this one is here. They are offset to give you that sort of offset leg position, which that's not how bodies work. That's not how animals work. So as a static figure, I mean, he's okay, but mine out of the package, as I said, is not perfect. I'm just trying to figure out how the articulation scheme kind of works, and it kind of doesn't. So, there's articulation, but it doesn't work properly. So, good thing I got a spare timber because he can be a stand-in in the meantime, I suppose. Moving on from timber, though, You know what? He's not bad. Like I said, the sculpt is great. I mean, it looks good. Whatever. Then jetpack. So that's the next sort of biggest accessory next to timber. Comes in the purple, which is very much a sunbow kind of a look. Paint apps are okay. The straps are sort of a rubberized thing, so that's going to fit nicely on his back. And that looks great. That's a ton of fun. That's going to look good. Then of course we get the canister, the Cobra canister, as I said, from the same miniseries that we got timber from. So that's the radioactive canister that he finds in the cave. Pretty nondescript. It doesn't do anything. There's no radioactive glow or anything like that. We do get a Cobra sigil on the end, which is okay. Then we get the sort of radio transmitter, and I believe, and I should have done more research. I apologize. I think somebody mentioned. I thought somebody had mentioned this, but maybe they did not. But Envision Fitness said, I like the look of timber, but articulation is quite limited. Snake Eyes mostly moves well, but the head movement was very limited. Disappointing. I will take a look at that. But that's kind of how I'm feeling too. Loco Bakes Walker says, hey, Adam, it's Luke. I didn't have a chance to unbox my Ultimate Joe's yet. That timber weird front leg, not a fan of that. Yeah, it's weird because the classified one is so good. The classified one is so good. I'm a little bit disappointed with this one, if I'm being perfectly honest. I know that this radio is from something, like it's from a specific scene, and I totally forget what it's from, and I feel terrible because I remember when I sort of saw this accessory for the first time, and I think it was Full Force podcast sort of went through all the accessories and talked about where they were specifically from and stuff, and I was really excited about it, but that was like 2 years ago now. It feels like. We also get this little blaster, which again, same as the radio. I feel like there's a specific scene in a specific Sunbow episode where this was relevant, and unfortunately, I don't remember. And that's kind of the biggest complaint, is that like 2 years on from ordering these, I'm just less excited. Although it's Snake Eyes, so I'm okay with it. But then we get the snow job rifle, as it's very often referred to, and again, it has a name, but I can't for the life of me remember. I want to say like XL15 or XR15 rifle or something like that, but don't quote me. Don't ever quote me. As I've said before, this is the least professional toy to podcast video unboxing series you'll ever see, whatever you want to call it. In typical Super 7 fashion, it's not straight. It's not straight, but it's not terrible. And from the side, you don't see it. Whether it's that way or that way, you're not going to see it. It's relatively straight. In this sort of plane, I think it's a little off as well. But in this plane specifically, it's got kind of a dog leg right around here. But anyway, like I said, it looks great. Going to be fun to kind of pose them up with the jetpack, with the thing, with the whole thing. It's the whole thing. He's just a great looking figure. Out of the box, we'll get to the figure in a sec. Out of the box, he comes with a couple hands. But then we also get a whole bunch of hands in here in typical Super 7 fashion. So we get the fists, as we normally do, and I'm going to set all these up as I normally do. Why? I don't know. That's just how I roll. That's how I am. I got to make room for the hands now, you see. Then we get these trigger grip hands. And then we get the wider grip hand. So these are either going to be sort of rifle, these hands can either hold the rifle as so, or I presume they can hold the walkie-talkie as so. Not sure which hands are going to hold this. Just so. But whatever. There's gonna be a combination that works really really well for this, I'm sure, as well. Super 7 is really good for that as well. So we got those hands. And then just looking at the figure, he comes with sort of a gripping hand, but sort of not. That's going to be the hand that's going to be able to hold that weapon really well. Actually, that holds really really well. These are soft enough that they hold that really well, but firm enough that it doesn't feel like it's gonna drop, or that I need to use a different hand or something like that. Which is kind of a step up from some of the other Super 7s that I have. The Ninja Turtles usually take a little bit more work to get accessories into the hands. But anyway, taking a look at the, well, you know what? Let's take a look at the comments just very quickly, and then we'll take a look at the figure. Luke says the XMLR3A laser rifle. Thank you, Luke, for that. Yeah, it's for some reason I always want to shorten it or abbreviate it. I don't know why. The snow job rifle. The snow job rifle just sounds dirty, doesn't it? On some level, it sounds dirty. Anyways, the figure itself is pretty standard for Super 7. Super 7 always kind of prioritizes sculpt over articulation. And this looks 100% straight out of the Sunbow cartoon. This is 100% the Snake Eyes that I fell in love with in the cartoon. I love this figure. I love the look of this figure. I'm under sort of no false pretenses that this is going to be the best articulation, that this is going to be the best Snake Eyes or the best Timber. This is 100% a Snake Eyes to go on my shelf. He'll get the jetpack on the back, the rifle in his hand, the canister under his arm or whatever, or whatever. I'll figure out sort of what combination I like the most, and it's gonna be a display piece. He doesn't scale with classified. He certainly doesn't scale with just about anything else. So he's gonna go on my Snake Eye shelf, and I'm good with that. I don't need this to be anything other than Sunbow accurate, and it is 100% that. He's got the sort of indigo colored bodysuit, the nondescript black boots, the ungloved hands, which is a big deal because every version of the action figure typically comes with gloved hands and so on and so forth. But the color match is perfect. The sort of lavender, purple, whatever color you want to call it, for the pockets, for the mask, all that kind of stuff. It looks stunning. There's not much going on for paint apps, right? You just get the highlights that are painted, and they look great. I mean, it's a great looking figure insofar as the Sunbow accurate deco can be. Articulation wise, he's got a bicep swivel. He's got a single jointed elbow that doesn't go very far. That's about as far as it goes, less than 90 degrees. Articulation, hinged wrist that also spins. So you get a bit of articulation there. The legs go up less than 90 degrees again. Single jointed knee, which goes considerably less than 90 degrees. Boot swivel, which Jeremy is not here tonight, but Jeremy and I agree that boot swivel is weird because I don't have that in real life. I can't turn my leg like that in real life. That would be a broken leg. But then the ankle rocker, they do kind of a cool thing in terms of how they sculpt the ankle. They sculpt the boot sort of either side of the ankle, and that actually gives you like really good articulation without really hurting the sculpt. If you're looking just at the right angle, you can see the dio like through the ankle. But turn it a little bit, you're not really going to notice that. And so the articulation in that respect is pretty good. As well as decent ankle rocker. So you're going to be able to get this guy in pretty decent poses. If you've got any other Super 7 figures, he's probably going to pose a little bit better than most Super 7 figures. But again, you're not buying this guy for the articulation. You're buying this guy for the deco. Now, somebody mentioned, and I think it was going back to Envision Fitness, head movement, very limited. So he looks up a little bit. That's as far as it'll go. He looks, well, just a little bit less than straight ahead as far as down. Full rotation. Left and right, you get a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's not great. He should be able to look up a little bit more. He should be able to look down a little bit more. Again, I think this is sculpt over articulation, because the neck itself, in terms of the sculpt, looks great. The trade-off that you get to get more articulation is that neck sort of tapers in a little bit more, and it feels a little bit disconnected, especially sort of where the neck and the head sort of meet. You often get a disconnect sculpt wise. So I'm not entirely disappointed with how this kind of looks. Oh, that's interesting. So Envision Fitness says maybe a QC issue with mine because mine only turns. Okay. So mine does look up a little bit and mine does look down ever so slightly. So there is range of motion there. It's not great, like I said, but there is range of motion. So maybe Envision Fitness, maybe that might be the case. You may have a dud. Heat it up first. I wonder if maybe it's just stuck, like maybe the ball joint. And I assume this is a ball joint. Let me check. So I just quickly pop the head off. I wonder if the this ball joint, I wonder if the ball joint in yours is just stuck. And it looks like there's a bunch of glue in here in terms of like how they've fused the two pieces of the torso together. So maybe yours is just stuck, maybe heat it up a little bit. Otherwise, 100% contact Super 7 and get them to sort that out. Because that would be super frustrating if I had that issue. But yeah, figure looks great. And like I said, once I get him sort of accessorized and posed up for my shelf, for sort of my purposes, I think it's, I think it is what I expected. I'm happy with the figure. Forgive me for sort of adjusting this on the fly. I'm happy with the figure. The articulation aside, and I say that knowing full well that this is what I was gonna get from a Super 7 figure. Articulation aside, it's a great figure. It's fun, and it's gonna look great on a shelf. This is not a line that I bought to pose up for toy photography or anything like that. And this is certainly not a figure that I bought for my kids to play with. So anyway, just jumping back into the comments here. Oz, good to see you, my friend. Happy to have you. Always a pleasure. Master Versal Toy Hunter is here as well. Eldor, my friend, I'm glad to have you. Immortan Jojo, always coming in with the hot comment. Ain't no job like a snow job. Ooh. Oz says, I want me some timbers. I've got, yeah, I'm a sucker for timbers. I'm an absolute shill for timbers. Shilver me timbers? Maybe? If I made shirts, I'd probably make that shirt. This one is okay. Like I said, the classified one is great. I got 2 of the gray ones. I got 2 of the white ones. Timber is just awesome. I love animal companions when it comes to G.I. Joe, so I'm kind of a sucker for any version that they do. And every version that they do. Let's be honest, every version that they do. Now we're at 40 minutes because I only did one figure, which is short. So I got a few minutes to spare. You guys got questions? Anything you want to chat about? I will mention this. No live video on Sunday. If you're sort of a regular viewer, I will not be able to do a regular video on Sunday. So this is all you get this week. You get this one and nothing else. But I'll be back. I'll be back. Don't worry. I'll have things. What's the Mr. Rogers? You'll have things you'll want to talk about, and I will too. I'll be back. Anyways, let's get this jetpack on. Let's get some accessories with this guy. We got time, so let's do it. I've owned enough action figures in my life to kind of have an idea of how to get the arms in place to get something like a jetpack on, which is a funny thing to say because I feel like it's a bit of a skill. That was pretty easy because of the time and effort I've put in for years and years and years of getting jetpacks and various accessories on figures. Oz, does this mean no hangout Saturday night? I will be available for comments. We'll see. I will be as a guest. It's a little bit easier. As a host, it's a little bit harder, as you know. As a guest, I may be able to swing it for a minute or two. Yeah, basically, well, not basically. Full disclosure, my beautiful, adoring wife, who consents to all my terrible toy collecting behavior, is going to Mexico with her sister and her sister-in-law. To which I agreed. I encouraged her to go, and she will be away for a while. I will be taking care of the 3 kids, and as such, with 3 kids, I can't really commit to doing a video and sort of neglecting them for for a couple hours. So I may be able to jump on for a minute or two. For on Saturday night, but as far as hosting, that's just not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this guy's not great for display. I mean, I know this is not a walkie-talkie because he doesn't speak. So I don't know exactly what this is for. Anybody anybody watching want to tell me what this is for? Initially I thought it was like the radio device for this, but then I realized that this thing just explodes when it decides to because it's radioactive. I can't remember what this is from. I can't remember specifically what that's from. Zazel's in the house. What's going on, Zazel? but as I said, this figure looks fantastic. It's going to display very, very nicely. It definitely looks the part, and it has such a really great Sunbow aesthetic to it, which I personally love. I mean, I would love to get classified releases. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would love to have a wave of Sunbow accurate classified figures. That's just me. I'll buy. I would buy the Snake Eyes in a classified figure as well, because Lord knows I have enough Snake Eyes figures. But what's one more, or two, or 27? Um, this could have been better. Timber could have been better, but what can you do? He's not bad. He's just not as good as the classified one. He's just not as good as this one. And when you kind of put them together, you kind of go, oh yeah, they're like kind of similar. But no, they're not. They really aren't. This guy's way better. I guess that's my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint is the timber. Hear that? That's the sound of cheap hollow plastic versus this. This thing's solid. Like this has that, what is it, ABS or whatever the plastic that they use for this is. It's just nicer plastic. Anyways, and only one face sculpt. And he has that Sunbow look. I mean, don't get me wrong. For a display piece, this looks great. But I mean, why put some articulation if the articulation's kind of going to be shit? I just don't get that. I don't get it. Yeah, it's sculpted in a way that it looks like it's going to pose up great, and it just doesn't do anything. This has like McFarlane level, like old McFarlane level of like articulation. This isn't much better, but this is like there is articulation, but it doesn't do anything. He just sits there. That's okay, because this guy looks great, and this guy, oh, there he goes. Anyway, so not a classified figure, but still a great sculpt. Great look. Gonna look great on a shelf. Let me grab, just for the sake of comparison, a classified Snake Eyes. And to sort of show you, classified significantly shorter. He comes up to about a shoulder. So they're not the same scale. So they're you're not going to sub these guys in on your classified shelf and vice versa. They just don't work. You might get away with it for some. If you want your bats to be oversized, you could probably go that route if you want to put your bats on your classified shelf. But that being said, the classified bats are so good. I don't know why you'd want to change them or sort of sub them out for whatever. But Oz says Big Bad Toy Store has some classified clearance. Goodness, I may dip a toe. Man, I mean, they're great figures, and those prices are pretty wild. For Canadians, they don't really, like, it doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense for Canadians, because by the time you pay the US exchange rate, by the time you pay the shipping, by the time you pay the clearing fees for duties and all that kind of stuff, it's really just not, it doesn't make a difference. You're still more or less better off to just buy them in Canada. I'll be honest, when I sort of comparison shop price wise between the US and Canada, there's things that look like they should 100% be a better deal to buy from the US just because of the like dollar amount and stuff like that, like sale prices and on and on and on. But the reality is, you guys in the US really, I think, and Zazel, I mean, if you're still paying, if you're still watching, if you're still hanging out, Eldor, if you're still hanging out, you guys can probably echo this sentiment. Collectors in the US really do not appreciate how good they have it in terms of pricing and shipping charges, because by the time like landed cost, the difference between what you sort of pay the store and what you've paid by the time it's delivered to your house, most American collectors would be absolutely floored by how much we pay for figures that isn't the price of the actual figure. Like, it's outrageous, and it's it's not a conspiracy. It's not it's not anybody's fault. It is what it is. The logistics of all that kind of stuff is just it's just expensive. It's just expensive. So consider yourselves lucky if you're in the US. You're getting the best price on just about every action figure that gets made. All right. If there are no other questions, no other comments, or anything of that nature, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys hang out. Samrock says, that's why I don't understand when Americans say they miss Toys R Us. They have way better deals at Target and Walmart in the US and online. And Canadians, we barely get deals at any store or online. Samrock, 100%. Toys R Us, yeah. The romanticized idea of Toys R Us is lost on Canadians that still have Toys R Us, because because the other thing you don't really touch on, Sam, is that Toys R Us. Okay, so Toys R Us in the US shut down. Very shortly after that, Toys R Us in Canada restructured and then was actually bought out by another company. That other company, I don't know what the parent company is, but the company also owns Sunrise Records, which is like a mall, like a shopping mall equivalent of sort of a Canadian version of HMV. And their whole business model changed. It's it is what it is. I'm not sort of ragging on them or whatever, because I'm too positive and I'm too nice and whatever. I'm too much of a shill, too much of a kidult. But there's way more books. There's way fewer action figures. There's way less Lego. The prices on action figures, the prices on Lego, the prices on like literally everything that I had been buying at Toys R Us went up. The sales stopped happening. Allison Troy says, we used to have Sunrise locations in the US, sort of like Tower Records, but not quite as overpriced as Tower. Yes, it's the same thing. Sunrise is just like it still exists in Canada, and they bought Toys R Us. Oz says Toys R Us was pricey here and couldn't compete with the big box retailers, and people just stopped buying from them, which is weird because here, at least until recently, Toys R Us was always like the same price as big box. Like there was virtually no difference between Toys R Us and Walmart or the other retailers. Like Canadian, we don't have the same amount of discount retailers. Is basically what it comes down to. Like we have Winners and Marshalls and I can't remember what you have one of those. I can't remember which one, but it's basically the same company that it's like TJ Maxx, and like that whole company is sort of the same thing. But we don't have Ollie's, we don't have Big Lots, we don't have all the other discount retailers. So we don't see the same kinds of like crazy markdowns, especially on toys. Um, my local and Walmarts are a little bit different, I think, here too, because like each Walmart independently is allowed to sort of do their price adjustments. Um, no, I think that's the same in the U.S. as well. Actually, now that I think of it, because I hear stories of people saying like, "Oh, that Walmart's discounted, but mine's not." The Walmart in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, where I live, never discounts anything. They recently discounted Motu Masterverse figures, and they went from 35 Canadian dollars to 30 Canadian dollars for some of the characters. But I was like, that's not. It's still cheaper for me to buy them from the U.S. I think. Um, these guys, so you guys pay 55 US for Super 7. We pay $80 Canadian for Super 7 Ultimates. And when it typically, like, the Ninja Turtle stuff keeps going on discount on like Amazon.com or like different websites, and you guys can get them for like 25 or $30. Honestly, if I buy one for $30 from Entertainment Earth, by the time they ship it, by the time it crosses the border, by the time I pay all the fees, it's cheaper to just buy it from a Canadian retailer at like normal price, which sounds like nonsense. And it is. It is. But anyways, enough trashing of Toys R Us and big box retailers. Buy what you love, and what you love should be Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. If you are in Canada, as it says, down below in the scrolly bar there, hit up ecollectibles.ca. My good buddy Mike at ecollectibles.ca will help you out, get you what you need. He's my go-to. That's where I get everything. That's where I got my snake eyes. That's where I got my timber. That's where I get just about everything. If he doesn't have it, it's either because he can't get it or because I don't need it. So check out ecollectibles.ca. Oz, I think you even ordered from Mike, because every once in a while, Mythic Legion stuff, he will still have it when everybody else sells out. But Oz says Walmart and Target kept their prices just lower than Toys R Us, and they couldn't lower their prices enough. Also around me, we have a lot of Walmart and Target every few miles. Yeah, and I don't have that. I have one Walmart, one Toys R Us. The next closest Walmart, I think, is about an hour away. The next closest Toys R Us is 2.5 hours. No, that one shut down. The next closest Toys R Us to me is 4 hours away. Oz says, I think it's a great incentive for you guys to buy from smaller retailers for those reasons. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? As much as I kind of resent the fact that like people will get sale prices on stuff, and like you're going to buy, a classified, Tiger Force figure for $9 at Target or whatever. I wouldn't have it any other way, because the Canadian e-tailers are absolutely fantastic. They're just great people, great customer service. As I said, Mike at eCollectibles is my go-to guy. And I'm just, I put my order in, and I'm never worried that he's going to cancel an order. I'm never worried that he's going to ask for more money. I'm never worried. I'm just never worried. He's just a great dude doing great stuff, and helping out toy collectors. And he's a collector himself. So like, I just genuinely, like, I'm happy to support a Canadian retailer. And yeah, So that's that. All right, we're at an hour, which is what I sort of shoot for. So what I will say is, um, as I normally do, but I'm trying to get used to this. I'm trying to add this music outro to kind of go with this. Tell me if it's too loud. Tell me if it's too quiet. I genuinely want to know. Um, as I always say, and I genuinely mean it. Guys, thank you for coming. Thank you for checking this out. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to see more videos, hit the notification button as well. Comment, reach out to me, message me. Let's chat. I'm always happy to talk toys, as most of you already know. But it's always way more fun to open toys with your friends. So until next time, guys, thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.